Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Jon Kingsbury and I'm Vice Chancellor of Ravensbourne University, London. This event follows our recent research report, which uncovered something that must be addressed if we're going to unlock the labour market for all. And that's to get the best from talent, from the young people that we have in the UK, and to meet our growth ambitions set out in the government's industrial strategy. So I'm going to introduce our panel of speakers. We've got Nick Mawhinney, Deputy Director at Skills England, Tim Last, who's UK Head of Post-Production at Hogarth, and our very own Ravensbourne student, Ruby Bennett, who's studying UX UI design here at Ravensbourne, and you're currently on a placement at IKEA, aren't you, Ruby? So working as a junior product manager. I think I just want to start, which is around the careers advice and guidance system, which is how we can begin to improve the way that we help inform, educate, and speak to young people about what their careers options are and to match those with the needs of industry. What are the changes to your sector that you're experiencing at Hogarth? And how is your company attracting young talent? You might want to say a bit about what you do.
So I run UK post-production for Hogarth. So that's a mixture of running obviously the artists, edit, audio, grade, the different disciplines that make up that part of our industry, but also being involved strategically in the technical operations and the backbone of how that part of the industry plugs together. So I think one of the areas that we've seen change happen is, some of the disintegration of those traditional boundaries. We saw hybrid editors coming 10, 15 years ago, but we really are starting to see what we call usable content emerge at every stage of the work stream, all the way from the creative through to final versioning and transcreation. So that sort of breaks down some of the traditional disciplines and the careers that people have built, focused on one particular part of the industry. So we're trying to focus on shaping M-shaped talent, people who have a sort of a broad integration access and are able to apply that into different parts of the business with relevant specialisms as required. I'm happy to go through any particular parts of the opportunities that we try and give, et cetera. But broadly speaking, that's what we're looking for and how we're trying to develop it.
That's brilliant. And that M-shaped talent. I mean, where do you go? Where do you find it?
Yeah, it's exactly. So it's, I think, partly, we want to develop our own existing junior talent pool, which we have. Partly we want to partner with people who are feeding talent into that workforce, hence why we're here with Ravensbourne. And then also we have some extant programs, some mentoring programs where we partner with universities, and also something we call HEX, which is a program where we basically bring people in for a year post-grad to do some creative technologist roles where they can have the chance to do all sorts of things across the business and then find their niche and area of development as they go further on. But we're looking to develop that program because we appreciate how fast the industry is moving and how fast the technology is moving. And so we're trying to find a combination of things of how can we bring that talent in, how do we stay competitive, how do we restructure our business operations so they function in the most efficient way possible, but then conversely, how does that grow and develop? How's that an ethically good thing for us to be doing as we support young people coming through into the workforce?
Well, I mean, I know Hogarth is supremely proactive, and just from what you said there, you're future facing, especially in the face of the technology changes and the process changes. So when you meet young people and they're thinking about a career with Hogarth, do you find that they're aware of all of the context that you've just outlined, or how do you begin to explain to them the career opportunities for them, or what you're looking for, or how they can be part of it?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think some people come in with more awareness than others of, let's say, economic and financial pressures. I mean, I think everyone sort of goes, "Oh, it's a bit tricky," but the level of awareness will vary, obviously. We try and have conversations around kind of that top bar of the M shape, the integration, the systems thinkers. It's less about encouraging, we're really looking for someone who specialises in, let's pick a subject, avid editing. That may be a relevant skill set for many years to come, but we want somebody who is able to think about how their role might influence the whole content ecosystem and how they might, evolve and adapt their tools and technologies to contribute to that. Could media talk better to creative? Could creative talk better to production? Can we plug those things together in a way that is beneficial to both? So you want people who are, just have that natural inquisitiveness, and most young people do, right? They want to know how things work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so rather than pushing them into a pigeonholed category, we're just saying, we want to give you an exposure to kind of like the structure of our business as a whole, and you kind of push us as well in terms of saying, why does that talk to that? Why doesn't that talk to that? How could this work? How could that work? And that sort of mentality is what we want to see develop in terms of people coming into business.
Yeah, great, thank you. We'll move on to Ruby. So Ruby, lovely to see you here. Thanks for being here. You're a student at Ravensbourne at the moment, but you're on a year-long placement with IKEA. Just what are your thoughts? I mean, where do you get your advice from about your future career? Is it friends? Is it family? Is it social media? Is it by talking to industry? What's shaped your thinking around your career path?
Quite a lot of different things. So Careers Lab has been one of them. So a couple of selected people in Careers Lab I felt very comfortable to reach out to.
Yeah, but how's that organised? Is that through your course? Were you pointed in their direction? Is it? Did they come to you?
I got exposure from it first at Rave Late. So Rave Late is like a evening talk with different companies or different people that will come in and speak about different topics. But they also give you exposure to different companies and different opportunities that may surface. So it's a really good way of getting exposure. I recently went under an Uncommon incubator with Creative Lab, so that was probably my most highlighted thing this year.
And Uncommon are like a hot advertising agency in central London. Yeah. So tell us a bit about that. That was a industry project.
Yeah. So it was a 4-week incubator placement, and it was to find something and tackle it in a creative way before the King's birthday. So me and another student in now 3rd year, we decided to look at AI and tackling sort of this topic of students and not being able to find jobs after graduation.
Oh, okay.
So it was quite interesting of creating a yearbook of grumpy students just gritting their teeth.
We don't want that, really. That's what we're trying to fix.
No.
Yeah.
But not to tackle, what's the word? It's not about a uni specifically, it's about the job market as well.
Yeah.
So it was quite creative, and how do we do it so that we're not shaming any uni, because unis are doing a great job, but how do we enlighten that experience and ensure that people are ready afterwards?
Yeah. So Nick, you're at Skills England, a relatively new organisation, which has come together to address the industrial strategy that needs more skilled people, especially in particular sectors. I just wonder whether you could just give us a bit of a rundown around what Skills England does, what it's responsible for, how it supports the ecosystem. Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, sure. I mean, essentially, Skills England's all about identifying the skills needs and aligning training to meet those needs. So you're right, we were officially launched in June this year. And, there is a recognition, the skills landscape, it's complex, it's difficult to engage with. So a key objective of ours is to simplify that, which, should make it easier for people to get the training and the skills that they need for their careers. A big part of that, it's aligning with the industrial strategy, looking at the growth sectors, seeing, that we've produced various research reports, even in the short time we've been in existence, looking at the sectors, looking at likely growth demands in those sectors, looking at what some of the priority occupations are. And then there's a role for us to step back and then say, okay, we know what the demand looks like. Have we got the right products in place to meet that demand? So we're talking about apprenticeships, T-levels, degree apprenticeships, there's shorter courses, foundation apprenticeships. So there's a real sort of mix of products. So trying to make sure we've got the right blend there. in place, and just as importantly, I think, is just making sure the progression pathway is clear around those as well. We've got a product called Occupational Maps, really good product, hundreds of jobs, occupations there, split out into sectors. And as they've advanced, what we're trying to do is, make more links. If you start on this apprenticeship, it's a good jump into this career,
brilliant.
and you can jump to that. And this is the course or the qualification you need to get you there. So it's trying to get the ecosystem simplified, clarified, and then just that navigate that way through.
Yeah. So if you're young, does that mean then, if I play that back to you, if I've got it right, that if you're a young person thinking about, well, I don't know whether to do T levels or A levels or apprenticeships, that occupational map will help you get to a point. Well, if you want to end up in this sector doing this job, then here are the qualifications, here are the skills, training that you need to get there. Is that right? Yeah,
that's right. It's laying out the options for those occupations, and I guess trying to behind that, point out the advantages of one over the other, because with a mix of products, the aim is to not everybody wants to do an apprenticeship or is suited to do so. So why not consider a T level instead? This is why it's different, and this is why it gets you to. So it's setting out the options and which ones are available.
And what is industry telling you? So I mean, I know you mentioned that new research is published. Skills England is great at engaging with industry. So, and you've heard from Elena there at Lightcast. What is industry telling you about the skills needs, the rapidly changes in technology? What are you hearing from industry?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of the sectors are identifying some key gaps that they're really struggling to fill, that it's an ongoing issue. There's various issues there, John. There's stuff around, retention, about once you get people through the door, how you keep a hold of them, adapting to that change. So you've got a lot of sectors where you've got people who've been in job for a while. There's advances in technology. How do we get them reskilled? So more and more we're hearing more about that sort of blend of products. We're looking at, for example, short courses now. When employers come to us and say reskilling's an issue, how do we adapt to AI and these other technological advances? And we don't want to put somebody on a 3-year apprenticeship. We need something shorter and sharper. So that's where the short courses come in, where you could have it very focused on AI at various different levels. If you're a senior leader in the organisation, what you need to do there, short course to upskill there. So it's really about that blended approach, and I think a bit more around awareness as well. Not just within people applying for those jobs, just within the industry itself, to engage some of these products a bit more. I think some sectors, creative is a good example, where traditionally we'll recruit a lot of graduates in. They'll tell us they're struggling with a lack of diversity coming into the sector, and that's where technical education and apprenticeships and so on can help them out. There's a rich talent pool there and a more diverse background, so that's a mechanism to get there.
Yeah. And what does Skills England do to reach out to? I mean, I know your business engagement is brilliant. Do you also reach out to citizens as well, whether they're young people or lifelong learners, or how do you get a sense of what's going on in the ground for people looking for their careers?
Yeah, I mean, we've had panels of apprentices and T-level students, try to engage them through them via their networks to get some input from young people, and that's not. I mean, there's a few things there. There's finding out what's going on in their sector, what their awareness is like, but also just using them to help mould some of the products as well. What skills do you think you need in order to enter this? What's lacking? So, yeah, we do try and reach out, and there's various parties involved in this. There's the employers, there's the young people trying to access those careers, there's the training providers, there's the assessment bodies, there's the regional bodies as well. So there's a broad ecosystem, and that's another one of our objectives, to try and sort of bring that together to get all the voices around the table and map the way forward and get an agreement on that.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it's a really important role, kind of coordinating both businesses and industry and skills organisations and getting the right products, as you say. And I think that's a terrifically important coordinating role for Skills England. So yeah, glad it's there. Thank you. Ruby, I suppose I wanted to come back to you and just hear a bit of your story and experience from perhaps your placement with IKEA. So you show up at IKEA, and we were talking a bit earlier before we came on camera about what your experience has been, and how you find it, and whether in fact it's broadened your thinking about potential careers either with that company or with the sector. How has being there working on projects actually changed your thinking about what's available to you?
I feel like, to start with, like, if I talk about the application process, because that changed my perception on what sort of like different ways there are to apply. So it wasn't like a hefty, like long, like you need to do an assessment and you need to like do lots of different rounds of interviews. It was literally a CV and a cover letter.
Oh, right. Okay.
And from that, they would invite you to one interview, which they would like do like a team assessment, all in the same day. It helps us to be more like show who we are rather than try and write it all down or try and cram it into like 15 seconds of like an answer.
So they're interested in you basically more than some of the long CV and application skills. Yeah.
So I think that definitely helped, and I think it's helped me a lot with my course, having like the actual projects that I've been doing and integrating that into a real world scenario. As one of the projects I did in second year was actually on IKEA.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like doing a map, like navigation system, because IKEA is a bit of a labyrinth when you go shopping there.
Oh yeah.
So it's a bit of a maze, and it was a very like frustrating pain point for people. So I used that as well, but it's quite interesting to see that you would take that and then pass it on to someone else once you've like finished with that, which was like very hard for me when like starting to get introduced to different projects.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite nice to see it like rounded off, like you have to just let go of it as well.
Yeah.
So I think that has helped me become more like work orientated rather than like I'm committed to this one project. I've been here from start to finish.
I want to move on really to collaboration between educational organisations. It's Ravensbourne has a strong reputation for learning with industry. Other places do that as well. So collaboration between businesses, universities, maybe even organisations like yours, Nick. So what do we have to do to beef up the collaboration such that young people understand the range of options available? And Tim, I'm going to start with you, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing a lot already, but I mean, if you could supercharge the areas for collaboration so that young people understand better the opportunities, that would be really good to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I think as with any kind of industry change, a lot of this is about just that initial communication. It's about the proactivity between the businesses and the universities. That's kind of step one. And, I first acknowledge that we have needed to do more in this area over recent months. So it's a case of we need to initiate those conversations. But the second, I think there's just, the making, trying to make available to interested students or parties or, new people to the workforce, what you have on offer, what the range of jobs within your business is. Because, realistically, I can walk into HR and say, can you give me a list of jobs in the business and their titles? And they'll probably give me 750 different titles, which is completely intimidating to anyone trying to figure out their pathway into how to manage that. So some, career, the process of trying to familiarise people with that is a challenge, but it's one that can be overcome. Again, communication, open days, whatever. And then I guess, just proactive sharing of projects. University students have, tremendous talents that can be leveraged. So what partnership programs and pathways can be put in place to A, get people familiar with what you're doing, but B, actually enable them and clients to work with them, to leverage them, to have that understanding of on the ground engagement. You're talking about, working in a team. That's like a soft skill. I don't remember ever going on a how to work in a team course, but it's an absolutely essential part of figuring out, your career trajectory and all of those kind of, surrounding contextual soft skills, you're around your discipline. So yeah, that would be my initial thoughts on that.
Important.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we're talking about businesses and education, there's got to be a recognition it's a mutually beneficial relationship. And once people get that, you do get the buy-in. I think the long-term sort of planning aspect of this is really important. So, we see loads of good work at a regional level with some of the mayoral strategic authorities like in Greater Manchester, West Midlands, where they work with businesses in their area, looking at what their skills and needs are, working with the universities, colleges, training providers to make sure the local provision matches to that, and also we're trying to do that across on a national scale as well. So I think it's not a quick fix, and I think that long term approach to it is really important, because we've got to be looking ahead of what the needs look like in 5 years' time. You'll know as well as an educator, it takes a long time to adjust the curriculum and everything else. So it's working off the analysis and as I say, looking at the benefits that apply across both sides in order to encourage that collaboration.
Yeah, thank you. What's your experience been with social media as the youngest person on the panel?
I would say social media actually played a huge part in career finding as well, because there's a lot of like streamers and like influencers that will be like a day in the life of, and they'll talk about their job and talk about the company as well. So there's like lots, for example, on like Google, and like how Google's an amazing company to work for, and they will like showcase what they're doing and get everyone excited. But there's also lots on like different advice on how to get into this industry or how to get into that industry. But I find that it can also be like oversaturated with things like advertisements. So people trying to sell you something that isn't actually going to help you, but people aren't aware that that's not going to help you. Like a recent one that I did see was using AI for CVs and cover letters. It's like, if you put it in, then it will just send it off straight away and you'll get the job. And there was so many comments saying this didn't help me.
Are you seeing a sudden rise in AI related CVs? I mean, do you care? Do you sniff them out? Do you?
I think there are some quirks of current AI models that do mean we kind of fairly easily spot stuff. I mean, to some extent, no, it doesn't bother me because there are lots of people, perhaps people who come from English as their first language or who have various educational requirements where these tools are helping them out in framing what they have. So it depends. Is the experience they're presenting genuine or not? That's our main question. And so we might have a smile that it sounds a bit ChatGPT, but really we are focusing on the experience rather than the formatting. I would like to see the continued application of technology into this space to help everybody understand the current state of play of industries, how industry functions, no matter which industry that is, and to provide toolkits, interview prep kits, everything else that goes with it, to sort of mentor and guide people at a very accessible level so that they can get into whichever area they're interested in and also have their sort of horizons broadened so that they are aware of things that they might not know before. So I make a technological piece, but I will caveat with still saying, at the end of the day, this is a relationship. Relationships are absolutely essential to every business. So apply technology to enable people to have those relationships.
Thanks, Tim.
I've got two things. So
far away.
Based on what me and Tim were saying earlier about soft skills, I feel like as well, like having toolkits of like how to do an interview or even like how to build your confidence. I feel like at Ravensbourne I've done that quite a lot. with presentations, as we had to like fire off presentations quite often. But just like soft skills and development of those, as well as more just like industry exposure as well, and just getting to know what different organizations do or what agencies are doing or anything. As I feel like in my time at IKEA, we've also seen like agencies of user research, which I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm in UX.
Yeah.
So it really like enlightened me, and now I feel like, oh, that might be something I'm interested in.
Yeah, brilliant.
So.
Yeah. Thank you for those two. Yeah, excellent. Nick.
The stuff that really lands and resonates is actually young people hearing from people doing the jobs and getting that real sort of rich mix of different occupations present that they probably don't know exist. So the only way to do that en masse would be, you know, individuals, and I guess and their employees just taking a bit more responsibility and having some commitments to get out there and, you know, talk to people.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you.